Controversial pick for Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth could be confirmed just a few hours from right now. But we are still learning more about the former Fox News anchor who has faced a long and growing list of allegations that would be disqualifying for any other nominee at any other moment in American politics to lead the United States Pentagon. Those allegations include alcohol abuse and sexual misconduct, all of which Hegseth has denied. One issue that came up during Hegseth's confirmation hearing last week is whether or not his two ex-wives can openly discuss their marriages. Here's that line of questioning.
In finalizing divorces from your first and second wives, were there non-disclosure agreements in connection with those divorces?
Senator, not that I'm aware of.
If there were, would you agree to release those first and second wives from any confidentiality agreement?
Senator, it's not something I'm aware of.
But if there were, you would agree to release them from a confidentiality agreement?
Senator, that's not my responsibility.
It wasn't a yes. Well, now we have a bit of an explanation, maybe. There's brand new reporting on a divorce settlement with his second ex-wife, Samantha Hegseth. It is not a full non-disclosure agreement, but NBC can report that it includes a non-disparagement clause. According to that reporting, quote, Pete and Samantha Hegseth are prohibited from saying anything negative about the other parent in front of their children, and that each will, quote, refrain from engaging themselves in any public discourse, including through either traditional media or social media, disparaging the other party. Joining our conversation, NBC News congressional correspondent Julie Sirkin and CEO of Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America, former Army Captain Allison Jaslow. Take us through, Julie, the latest reporting on Mr. Hegseth.
Yeah, well, this was actually part of a document that I want to be clear Republicans and Democrats on the committee have had access to since before Hegseth's confirmation hearing. And in this document, as Lisa had laid out in her reporting, they are being careful about what they're calling this. It's some sort of confidentiality agreement, but as you saw, Hegseth was very well prepped in his question and answer period in front of the committee during his confirmation hearing to stick to the terms that he knows he could say and get away with. And that's what you saw in his questioning with Senator Tim Kaine. Of course, his attorney, Parlatore, had issued us a response saying it's not a non-disclosure agreement. It's a limited non-disparagement agreement. These are two legally distinct concepts, and there is nothing inappropriate or inaccurate about Mr. Hegseth's answers to the committee. He says it takes some significant imagination and intellectual dishonesty for anyone to consider this to bear on the credibility of his testimony. Then there's a second beat, Nicole, which came out of the questions for the record. Those never really tend to produce much news, but in this case, the questions that senators on the committee were able to pose to him after his confirmation hearing had ended, because remember, Democrats were denied a second round of questioning. There was one question and answer specifically from Senator Elizabeth Warren, where she asked him how much money he paid to the woman who accused him of alleged sexual assault in Monterey, California in 2017. He said it was $50,000. And of course, Hegseth's attorney again saying that that was their attempt to preclude any blackmail coming forward, that this was during the period of the Me Too movement. And that is certainly how they are spinning that particular response. Now, that being said, we are hours away from the vote tonight, Nicole. There are still several Republicans, I'm told, who are on the fence about his confirmation. There are private meetings going on. But of course, they're also under a lot of pressure from the White House across Pennsylvania Avenue. Of course, they've been getting calls, texts, pressure put on them to vote for Pete Hegseth tonight, to not join Senator Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski in opposing him. He would need two more people to vote against him in order to not get confirmed. No senator wants to be that third one and then force J.D. Vance to break the tie. So they need at least two more to join them here.
Andrew Weissman, would an FBI investigation, first of all, my understanding from working in the government is that the FBI vet is to make sure that an official can't be subject to blackmail from an enemy, from a foreign enemy, is to make sure you're not at risk of being compromised and then threatened and then betraying the United States. The notion that every senator isn't demanding that he couldn't be the victim of blackmail is bonkers and couldn't. So one, is that still the case? And two, can't the FBI pierce any non-disparagement agreement that any witness has?
Okay, so let me do this. The non-disparagement. That is a private contract between two parties, whether it's a non-disclosure, whether it's a non-disparagement, whether it's both. That's just two parties privately agreeing. That does not bind the government. The government can call these people. They can have questions under oath. You have to give a truthful answer. So that private agreement can't in any way forbid the Congress, the FBI from asking these questions. So they're really just apples and oranges. That's not a defense to, oh, I can't tell you. The issue on these background checks is just, your point is totally right. Normally, so that's obviously not the situation we're in. Normally, the FBI does for anybody who's going to be the Secretary of Defense. I mean, we're talking about like somebody who could not think of a more important position other than president. You have a full FBI check. You don't have the issue where you say, well, the Senate wants something minor, but then when we get to the security clearance review, that'll be deeper. They're both deep. They're both the same because you have the same interests in making sure they can't be blackmailed. Are they trustworthy? Is there anything in their background that would cause you to have some questions about the person's character, their reliability, all of the natural, normal things? And you want that in both fora. You want it both when you're deciding, should you vote for this person? And you want it when you decide, should this person get the highest, most top secret documents in the country? We apparently are in a situation where there's a truncated FBI background check because they will do what they're requested to do in terms of the background check. But if he gets through this, the next part is, how is he going to get security clearance? Now, one answer to that is Donald Trump will just say, just give it to him. And there will not be the normal background check. This is, I want to make sure everyone understands this is an apolitical issue. This is one, you worked for a Republican administration. I worked for Republican and Democratic administrations. All of us would be absolutely, everyone has to go through this. Everybody is subjected to this, and you want only people who can be trusted having access to these documents.